Welcome back to Venus Improbable Dream with Haruka, now around Kakeru's house for the first time. You can wear these in the house. I'll put your shoes somewhere safe as slippers. Haruka extends her hands timidly and I place the slippers into them. Alright. I'll wait for her to remove her shoes and then take them, place them on top of a shoe rack that stands against the wall beside me. Once she puts on the slippers, she stands there a little helplessly, her confidence visibly wavering. You okay? Something that vaguely resembles guilt flashed across her face for a moment and then she bows her head slightly. Yeah, let's go in. I'm almost in two minds as to whether to let her keep pushing herself like this or not, but she straightens her posture in some sort of determination, so I stay quiet and lead the way into the lounge properly. As we stride in, my dad rises from the couch, having been reading a newspaper. Okay, Haruka, this is my dad. I decide to introduce her before Dad says anything. It's a sort of warning that someone unfamiliar is about to speak to her. Unfortunately, I realise that she probably isn't sure of where he is in the room, but thankfully, Dad fixes that by talking before she does. We meet at last, Haruka. At the sound of his voice, Haruka managed to get an idea of where he's standing, turning to face him. Nice to meet you. Likewise. Dad's laid-back nature seems to help in this situation. His eyes briefly sweep over her cane, but then he simply returns his gaze to her face, seeming pretty unperturbed. Evidently having heard the conversation begin, Mom comes in to join us from the kitchen. Hopefully she's not as pushy as she usually is. And this is my mom. This is Haruka. Mom looks positively radiant as she takes Haruka in, glowing with joy at the fact that I've brought a friend home from school for the first time in, well, possibly ever. She could barely contain her excitement. Oh no, Mom, you're going to make her feel uncomfortable. It's lovely to meet you, Haruka. We've heard nothing but great things about you since Kakeru joined the music club. Calm down, Mom. We're not trying to make Haruka faint of embarrassment here. Haruka fidgets her expression, displaying a mixture of bashfulness and appreciation. Thanks for inviting me. Mom looks like she's about to offload another bout of praise onto her, and I feel as though it's going to be too much for Haruka to deal with right now. Thankfully, Dad seems to sense the exact same thing and diverts the conversation. Why don't you take a seat, Haruka? You made some snacks for us, didn't you? Did she? He directs that last question at Mom. Oh, okay, I see about that. Who nods enthusiastically, having taken the bait. Yes, make yourself at home and I'll bring some food in. I made a few little treats for you. Ah, that's nice. She disappears back into the kitchen and Haruka seems a little relieved that some of the attention has been lifted from her. Shall we sit in the dining room? There's more space in there. She nods silently and I walk ahead of her. Allowing her to use the sounds of my movement to guide her. Glad we've got a squeaky floorboard in this place, not really. Once we reach the table, Haruka takes the seat closest to her, placing her bags down on the floor next to it. Wanting her to feel as comfortable as possible, I make a slightly louder than necessary show of putting the chair next to her and sitting on it. Sorry if my mum's a bit excited, I don't really have people over. I can't help but point it out, hoping that she's not finding it too intense. She turns her head toward me, seeming glad to know that it's me who's sitting close by her. It's okay, I don't bring home friends home either. I don't bring home friends, for goodness sakes mate. She'll calm down soon. Yeah, Mum will calm down soon. Very soon. I hope soon. Some point. In the near future. Here we go. Dad takes a seat and Mum passes empty plates around for us to use. When she gets to Haruka, she freezes in place, the plate hovering in her outstretched hand. I start scrambling to say something, but then she pulls herself together and comes up with a solution herself. Haruka, shall I get you some snacks? There are a few things to choose from, just tell me whatever you like. You forgot to point out what those kind of snacks were, though. You can't just simply say, I'll pick some for you. It seems as though Haruka has gotten the gist and what was happening from the sounds of us taking the place and has been fretting over how this was going to work out for her. As Mum offers this easy and thoughtful alternative to her struggling to take the food herself, a weight seems to rise from her shoulders, and for the first time since she entered the house she smiles a little. Yes, please. Thank you. Dad and I help ourselves while Mum reels off a short list of everything that's on the table. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I watched Haruka ask politely for the thing she'd like, and Mum put several generous servings of each onto her plate for her. It's strangely nice to see, especially because Haruka seems to have calmed down somewhat, thanks to how accommodating Mum is being, indeed. Once Mum's finished playing, the gracious host will tuck into our food and I'll steal a quick glance around at everyone. Haruka's not the only one who's out of their comfort zone. I haven't sat at this table with my parents for so long I can barely remember. I've been so focused on how Haruka was feeling that it's only just occurred to me. My stomach bubbles with nerves, but I fight them off as best as I can. I can't run off to my room this time, not with your friend around. Thankfully, things seem to get a little easier for Haruka as the minutes go by. She manages to fall into conversation with my parents a bit awkwardly. They ask about the music club and she fills them in on what it's like. She doesn't mention the fact that she doesn't participate with the group, but I can't blame her for it, so I don't bring it up either. The fact that Haruka and I attend the club at all is probably a miracle. Don't say that too loudly, mate. Well, it's finally nice to meet the person Kakeru's been telling us about. Haruka smiles awkwardly, and I feel my face flush. I don't talk about her that much. Both parents kick up my embarrassment to my right. I hear a little sigh of amusement escape Haruka. Anyway, it's nice to hear classical music coming from his room sometimes instead of video game noises. I suppose Haruka does not know about that from Kakeru about video games. Mom bursts out laughing. Haruka almost does the same. I sit and fester in my embarrassment silently, although at least everyone's smiling. Yeah, they're not being mean to you. We've all finished eating by this point, and I start to feel as though my parents should back off a little. I don't want Haruka to get overwhelmed by the constant attention. I'm not exactly a fan of it either. Did you want to look over that music sheet, Haruka? She looks toward me, seeming relatively comfortable, although I pick up on a hint of gratitude. I've tried to move things along. Yeah, okay. We better leave you to it then. But Mom, what is Mom gonna think of all this? He stands up, picking up some of the now empty plates, and Mum eyes Haruka with a little disappointment. She obviously wants to keep talking, but to my relief, she nods and joins Dad in clearing the table, apparently remembering Haruka's nervous disposition. Yes, you two do whatever you like. We'll be in the lounge if you need anything. The two of them continue to bundle the plates and glasses into their arms, and Haruka and I delve into our bags. Mum's so embarrassing. The difference between the two of us becomes blatantly obvious when we put our music sheet collections onto the table. I drop a few relatively thin books onto the wood, whereas Haruka produces her cumbersome folder bustling with who knows how many pieces. It doesn't go unnoticed. That's a big folder. You must be quite the connoisseur. Haruka laughs nervously, although nods in agreement. Something like that. Something along those lines. At last, they leave us alone, especially Mom. Heading into the kitchen and beginning to wash and dry the dishes together audibly, Haruka lets out a relieved sigh. Are you okay? It wasn't too much, was it? No, it's alright. I'm starting to get used to it. I was just a bit scared at first. Your parents are nice. That's nice to hear. I'm glad she feels that way. I'd be genuinely worried that they'd ask her too many questions, or just generally weird her out so much that she'd want to leave early. Thanks, Mom. Yeah, we both run out of things to say for a moment, and then Haruka opens her huge folder. What do you want to look at then? I don't know. You brought all these resources, and I have no idea where to start. Ah, right. Having started to cool down from the initial intensity of it all, we settle down and start studying some pieces together. I admit which ones I'm not so great at, and she goes through techniques and performance directions with me. At first it's a little strange, especially when my parents finish with the dishes and go sit down in the lounge. They don't put the TV on or anything like that, in case they disturb us, but the doorway that separates the dining room from the lounge is angled so that I can keep getting glimpses of them out of the corner of my eye. Mom in particular seems interested in eyeing us inquisitively from time to time, and I have to do my best to ignore her. At least Haruka isn't affected by it. In fact, I'm really glad this whole thing hasn't been too overwhelming for her. Indeed, she's pretty brave in a way, and I couldn't manage to meet those boys in the city. But she comes to my house and socialises with my parents despite how nervous she'd been. I just hope she feels as though it's been worth it in some way. I'm sure she has. And she's with a friend as well. Kakeru? Oh, rubbish. Sorry, could you repeat that? I zoned out while thinking about everything and missed whatever she just explained. Thankfully, she doesn't seem annoyed. This part needs to have an ebb and flow to the dynamics. So here, where it says Fortissimo, she touches the braille of a copy of the music and I note which bar she's talking about on my own. That bit needs to be louder towards the end of the bar. That way it makes more of an impact when you get to the next point and the volume drops again. It's like a wave rushing in and out and retreating, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that makes sense. She has a pretty eloquent way of putting things that I could never replicate. I suppose it's down to her passion for the subject. Yet passion is half of it, knowledge is the other. But also your input into the topic in hand. What time is it? I fumbled to consult my phone. Almost 7:30 PM. My dad will be here to pick me up soon. I should probably get ready. Okay. Time seems to fly by. We end our study session, putting our things away, and Haruka takes a moment to readorn herself with her belongings, slipping her bag over her shoulder and locating a flute, cane and case. Case and cane. Case in point. We step back into the lounge area and both my parents heads turn to face us. Listen to their robots programmed to act as one. Wow. Are you heading out, Haruka? Yes, my dad will be here any minute. The two of them stand up and come closer, beaming at both of us. Well, it was lovely to meet you, and I hope we get the chance to talk again. Yeah, nice to see you, Haruka. Haruka bows her head slightly embarrassed, but smiling nonetheless. Thanks, you too. I don't want this awkward goodbye to drag out longer than it needs to, so I head towards the door. Here are your shoes, Haruka. She turns in my direction and then bids my parents goodbye before joining me at the rack. Her demeanor relaxes again once she's putting her shoes on. Do you want to wait outside? Yeah, I'm sure Dad won't be long. We best stay with her just in case. I open the door and we step outside into the cool air. The sun has started on its way down below the horizon, making the street a slightly more comfortable place to be. Thanks for inviting me, Kakeru. I know I've probably been really quiet. Oh, her gaze dips toward her feet momentarily, but I've enjoyed it. And that's the most important part of any scenario, is to enjoy it, to have fun. You have? Yeah. Unlike your parents and I... She pauses for a moment as she collects her thoughts. Well, neither of us really do stuff like this, do we? That's an understatement. No, you're right. She nods bashfully. So it's been nice to try. I wasn't sure if I could do it, so... Her cheeks flush, but her smile stays in place. Thanks. Ah, no problem. I guess it must feel pretty liberating for her to realise that she actually can visit a friend's house without getting too wound up. Before we met, she probably doesn't have anyone whose house she could go to. I guess I gave her an opportunity, and it turned out well for her. That's something that makes me glad too. I felt as though this friendship has been pretty one-sided so far, so being able to do something for her in return makes me feel a little less guilty. The two of us stand and wait a short while longer, content to simply enjoy the quiet ambience of the street, and then the unmistakable rumble of an engine begins to permeate through the air. As it gets louder, I can see a car turn onto our street. Slowly coming to a stop on the opposite side of the road, Haruka follows the sound with her eyes. What type of car is that? I recite the license plate to her and she nods with a smile. That's my dad! Alright, I guess I'll see you tomorrow then. Thanks for coming over. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Thanks, Kakeru. Aww. She heads towards the car and watch her dad gets out briefly to say hi to her, guiding her to the passenger side door. I don't get a proper look at him, thanks for the distance, but he makes sure that Haruka is comfortable before getting back in and driving off. Releasing a breath, I didn't realise I'd been holding my body. I feel my body relax with unusual sensation as over. Yeah, Pretty big challenge for both of them. And I think, yeah, what Kakeru said so far is quite true, with the friendship being quite one-sided, with how one person is helping out the other, but the other person is rarely helping out the other. So in this way, it's a bit of a spin to it, but still benefiting both people to help break out of their shells in a way. I head back inside, discarding my shoes and heading into the lounge. My plan is to grab my bag and head straight to my room, but of course Mom is waiting for me in the middle of the room, evidently having more to say. And do you think that went okay? We didn't make her feel too nervous, did we? Dad didn't, but you have other things to say, Mom. I guess you might be questioning how they treated Haruka, especially in the beginning, with Mum herself was a little giddy about her being there. No, she was alright. She was a bit scared to start with, but it got better. Her expression brightens a little. Oh, good. I must say, she's a lovely girl. Though he's across the room, Dad chips in from the couch. Yeah, and smart too. It was impressive the way that she was using that braille. Very talented. Very talented indeed, but for good reason too. Mom nods in agreement and I feel a little pain of shame on my part. Of course, Haruka seems talented. Anyone would stood next to me. However, Mom continues throwing this train of thought off somewhat. I bet you're just as talented as too when you put your mind to it. That's a good mum right there. Never ever comparing two different people to each other, especially when it's just one, your son, and then number two, somebody you just met for the first time today who is not a part of your family or anything like that. But something could happen in the future. I'm not sure what to say in response, but a comment does send my pessimistic thought away. She regards me softly before turning back toward the couch. Anyway, you get on with your homework. I'll bring out some more food later. Thanks, Mom. Thank you, Mum. She crosses the room and sits at Dad's side and I nod. Taking it as my cue to disappear. I guess you realise I've pretty much had enough attention for today. For a whole year, in fact. After collecting my bag from the dining room, I head upstairs, closing my door behind me. Lunchtime! Haruka and I had agreed to meet up, and here we are in the music section of the library once more. It's been a couple of days since she came to my house, and I'm still kind of reading from it, sorry. Okay, it hadn't been the most spectacular evening of our lives, but it was just nice, and I'm happy that she managed it. I'd made Haruka laugh during club practice yesterday. She asked what my parents might have thought of her, and I replied that I pretty much idolized her at this point. Silly way of putting it, but it's not entirely inaccurate. I pulled my attention back to the room just in time to see Haruka turn to me. What do you want to look for then? What pieces are left on the list? In response to her question, I go to reach into my bag but end up lagging sluggishly. I think I'm feeling a little burnt out today in terms of club pieces. I don't really want to start learning a new one just yet, but progression is progression. I tell Haruka this, she nods understandingly. Okay, shall we do something else then? We're all in library, so in a way we might as well stay here. Also, I had been looking forward to a peaceful atmosphere of a CD room, so it'd be nice to still listen to something. How about we just find something new to listen to? Something I don't know. You can choose, if you like. I figure Haruka would enjoy educating me about a composer she likes, and my hunch had been right. Sure, that sounds fun. Let us go then. Let's go. After the awkward walk through the rest of the library, we enter the solace of the CD room. I swear no one ever comes in here. The chairs never change positions. We can move in and no one would notice. The thought amuses me as we dump our bags and make our way towards the CD racks. So, what should we listen to? As long as it doesn't have the word strain in it and G. I don't mind, you pick. What's your favourite piece out of everything you've heard? I'll ask this to encourage Haruka to enjoy herself. She clearly values classical music a lot, so I'll let her gush about it today. Knowing how smart she is about these things, I'll probably learn something too. However, she doesn't seem to jump at the chance like I expect, pausing thoughtfully. My favourite? She turns it over in her mind, and the longer it goes on, the more downcast her face becomes to my surprise. I can't play that one. Why can't you play that one? That is very interesting. A little curve in this predicament right here. Why can't you play it? Why is that? Do we not have the CD of it here? She twiddles her finger, shaking her head. No, it's not really. I watch with concern as she trails off, apparently struggling to convey what's in her mind. Whatever it is, it seems to be bothering her a lot, although I can't guess why, given so little information. Is it because it's a romantic kind of music? It could be something romantic related. Romance? Bonding? She shakes her head again, more vigorously this time, straightens up a little. Never mind, I'll pick something else. Ah, she moves away from me to browse the nearest shelf, leaving me a little dumbfounded. That was a bit of a strange moment. What about her favourite piece is so unusual? I don't think it's because it's unusual, but I think it's because of the content of the music itself, right? It probably would be embarrassing to play with one other person with you. One person with you. With a friend. I can't really wrap my head around it, but for some reason she doesn't seem to want to talk about it, and I don't want to push what might be a sore subject. Crushing my curiosity, I followed down the rack. Haruka! As I shut the door and head across the room to the piano, Haruka regards me with a smile. The Mozart piece got really loud, it sure did. She says it with a hint of amusement in her voice, so I know that it hadn't bothered her, so it was probably somewhat entertaining for her to overhear. Yeah, I was trying out the Fotsimo thing we were talking about. It worked, I guess. She admits a quiet giggle. Good job. As I set up my books on the stand, I sneak a more lengthy glance at her. There's no trace of the strange downbeat mood she briefly expressed at lunchtime. So whatever was troubling her must have not been her mind anymore. That's a relief. Although I still don't quite understand what happened there. Before I can ponder it any further, she interrupts my train of thought. I knew you'd start getting better. You just gotta keep trying. You gotta keep practicing. That's all. Easy. Hey, don't say that. Don't say that. We're all once upon a time a beginner. Don't be like that. It's always easy to judge somebody who is currently very good at something. Easy for you to say, Miss. Wow, don't ever say that. Please, don't. Honestly, I probably wouldn't still be here if it wasn't for you. Anything I've managed to do, you've told me to. I say it with a bit of sarcasm as she laughs. Not even I'm just messing around. Well, partially. Don't be silly, it's all you. I can't have helped that much. Trust me, you have. I think Kuro-sensei would have booted me out by now. He would not have done that. I allow myself to smile with the daft exchange we're having. Haruka grins too, although grows slightly more serious after a moment. Well, I don't think so, but if it helped our friend, then I'm happy. Exactly. A friend? She said it out loud? We're friends? I think this was covered over previously. I don't think I'll ever get used to this, but yeah, I guess we are. The smile lingers on my face a little longer until we settle down to practice. Nothing exciting had happened over the weekend. I had enough unusual activity with Haruka calling on me at my classroom on Tuesday, and then visiting my house and meeting my parents on Wednesday, to balance it out. I'd spend the last 2 days holed up in my room studying sheet music and gaming into the night as normal. It helped me to recharge me, and was a much nicer way to spend the weekend than the previous one. Yeah, the previous weekend was a bit of a oversleeping hole for me, panic attack. I'd been in a relatively relaxed mood this morning, until my mama popped her head around the door and told me that Matsumo-sensei had called unexpectedly. He asked that I come to school a little earlier than I usually do. Apparently wants to talk to me about something. He would call me up to his desk once lunch starts, as he has a tendency to do nowadays, but he has a meeting at lunchtime that he can't avoid. That spoilt my slightly more positive outlook somewhat. Not only have I no idea what this is about, but I'm also having to come to school at a regular time, meaning there are way more people around than usual. Yikes. Robbed of my early morning coping mechanism, I scurry into the building in a nervous slump. What does he want? What does Mom contact Matsumo-sensei for? Yeah, this place is really busy now. Doing my best to avoid making eye contact with anyone. I scamper down the hallway and into the classroom. To my relief, Matsumo-sensei is alone in the room when I arrive. He looks up at the sound of the door squeaking, announcing my appearance. Ah, Akemi, you got my message. I've got to dash off at lunch, so I thought we'd better do this now. I'm still no wiser as to what this is, but I shuffle up to his desk regardless. Now, you remember that I spoke to your parents recently about your panic attack. They'd been very concerned about your performance in school in the wake of it. Don't mind me. Why is he bringing that up? I've pretty much forgotten about it by now. I don't like the past. However, they gave the school another call on Friday, and I must say I was surprised at what they had to say. What did they say? I don't know. I don't like it when I'm just the middle figure here, and I don't like it when people are talking in riddles. It's like, just get to the point. Just get to the point. I'm not very comfortable with how my parents seem to be reporting every tiny detail of my life to my teachers recently, and now I'm worried about whatever this latest announcement was about. I'm pretty sure it was about inviting a friend over. Matsumo-sensei straightens up for a second, and for a second I feel like he's about to admonish me for something. However, in that trademark difficult to read manner, his expression softens ever so slightly, not really giving anything away, but making me second guess my assumption. I believe you've been making friends after all. They'd mentioned your extracurricular activities with a fellow club member last week. Oh god, don't put it that way. Sounds like I've been getting up to something shady. Honestly, I'm quite impressed at your progress, considering that you've had such a rough weekend previously. I also heard about your dedication to practicing your music both inside and outside of school. That is very promising, Akane, and something close to what I imagine your parents had hoped for when we'd introduced you to the music club. Naturally, things take time, but I believe that is a good starting point. Of course, I'm going to become the best pianist in Japan and befriend every member of the school after this. Exaggeration, I know. He continues to ramble on, yo-yoing between congratulating me at my conquest and stressing the importance of personal and professional growth, turning it into a bit of a lecture in places. Naturally, a large part of me is not enjoying me, but then the theme that I'm doing something that someone approves of hits me once more, and I have to concede that it sort of makes this one man similar to somewhat worth it. Matsumo-sensei goes on for a little longer until I start to hear sense the rest of the class fleeing into the room behind me, nerves kicking up a little. I grow anxiously hoping that he'll let me go soon. Thankfully, he stops for a moment and peers around me at the now almost full classroom, then nods at me. I hope you understand, Akane. Keep it up. Thank you, teacher. Kakeru has thought the impossible and decided rather than Haruka waiting at the stairwell, we thought we should just go try and visit her in her classroom. But you know how the protagonist is about people looking at him and stuff like that, so you think this is going completely out of the blue here for Kakeru here. Her classroom is just down this hallway. From my current vantage point, I can see a small group of students already spilling out of it. They're leaving. The room won't be full, as it'll be just a few random people, the teacher and Haruka. Oh, come on, Kakeru, just once as a nice gesture. If it goes badly, never again. Okay, I can't believe I'm doing this. I shuffle down the corridor, my feet dragging in reluctance. Most people seem to be heading in the opposite direction, towards the outdoor walkway at the end, but a few of them pass me on their way to the stairs. I lower my head, sticking close to the wall in an attempt to shield my Hemangioma, however you want to pronounce that, making slow, unsteady progress until I'm approaching Haruka's classroom. Several students continue to exit it, immediately disappearing down the hallway, and I halt fearfully by the door, taking deep breaths and willing my throbbing heart to calm down. Just this once. When it seems as though the coast is relatively clear, I dare to steal a very fleeting glance around the doorway. There are still a few people in the classroom, and on their far left, sitting on the few rows of desks, I spy Haruka. She has all of her things together, cane in hand, but is evidently still waiting for things to get a little quieter before she heads out. For a moment, I'm not sure whether this is actually a good idea on her part. She might feel more agitated if she's forced to leave the room to greet me, while there are still too many people around for her liking. I'm standing there agonizing over what to do when something takes me by surprise. Oh, sheesh! Two of the remaining students turn to leave, take a few steps towards the exit, but grind to a halt as they see me loitering by the edge of a door frame. Their eyes grow wide and we all recognize each other simultaneously. Are they from the music room? These are the two girls who cornered me in the hallway and demanded to know if I was Haruka's boyfriend that day, and gossiped rudely about her right in front of me. They're the last people I want to have any sort of confrontation with, but they quickly develop expressions of glee and burst into action again, bunching up together and barging past me through the door while sharing a mischievous look. Gossip, drama, what the hell? Looks like Vicky Warren's boyfriend here. The two of them barrel down the hallway in a flurry of annoying high-pitched giggles, and I feel my face glow red in both embarrassment and irritation. I guess some people just love to stir things up. Taking another timid peek into the classroom, I see that though the students still there have glanced at me with passing interest, they mostly turn back to their conversations and ignore me. Perhaps they're used to those girls and their dramatic ways. More importantly, I notice that Haruka is now staring into the doorway where I'm standing, evidently having heard their comment too. Well, it's too late to turn back now. I clear my throat, calling as loud as I feel capable of, which turns out to be not too audible. Haruka? My weedy whimper sounded so feeble, but it seems to have reached Haruka's ears regardless, as she stands up from her desk, wandering over to the doorway. Kakeru? She seems very bemused, but at the same time I swear there's a hint of a smile on her face. I do my best to quell my shaking limbs. Yeah, it's me. Her eyebrows shoot up in shock, but for her somewhat approving expression weavers, it doesn't disappear. What? Is this payback? This is not payback, I swear. Oh, damn it. For a moment, she looks almost as perturbed as I, but then realizes probably due to the low level of noise in the room that hardly anyone's here to witness this, relaxing slightly. You didn't have to. Well, hey, now, don't be like that, please. The two of us fall silent for a moment, mostly out of being flummoxed by this strange occurrence. I still feel as though this was a whole idea. Haruka pipes up quietly after a few seconds. What shall we suggest to do? Got the same choices as last time. Actually, you know what? Let's go for a change of pace. We've been eating lunch the second and third time. Let's go with the library. Yeah, that sounds like a nice quiet place for us to chill out after all that. Yeah, that's a good thing. How about the library? It seems like she likes the idea too, and she nods enthusiastically. That'd be good. We're going to leave things for today with, blissful tranquility at last. Which is a nice thing to behold after all that commotion with the two rowdy girls. But thank you so much for watching, guys. This so far has been Venus Improbable Dream. If you have any comments about this game, please feel free to put them in the comment section below or on any of the pages of the games pages where you can find the game itself. So thank you so much for watching and see you all in the next time of this game. Have a lovely day and take care of yourselves.